you are all welcome. The seminar will be held in English, so there will be no translation. Especially welcome is our speakers, Marina Peter. She has been working 26 years in the case of Sudan, and she is now representing Sudan Ecumenical Forum. Then we have our bishop from Louis, Stephen Bekolo, and then our own bishop, Antje, and then at last, the coordinator, Niklas Eklöf, from the Church of Sweden International Department Policy Advisor. I put the word over to you.
Thank you so much, and it's a privilege to be here and have this hour together focusing on the topic, South Sudan, a new beginning. And for those of you who have been to Sudan or South Sudan, you know that this is a fascinating country, fascinating, beautiful people. It's rich in nature and resources. It is. We have brothers and sisters there in the church who is living the gospel in a very lively way. And we're here now to discuss and share together with the presenters and with you what does this new meaning, what is it all about. My own background is that I've been working with the International Department for 11 years, with the Horn of Africa specifically, but also with Sudan, and as a policy officer for peace building and human rights. And I've had the privilege to visit both the North and the South a few times, and working together with Marina and the Episcopal Church of Stephen, Bishop Stephen, and the Sudan Council of Churches, which is the ecumenical body that we are engaged on the national level for a long time in the struggle for peace and freedom. So I will just start with 4 slides. The first, up there we have the way that the churches have been engaged in ecumenical diplomacy. This is in 2009, the picture above, where an ecumenical African church delegation met with the South Sudan President Salva Kiir with a hat. And the churches also in Africa and in the world have been very much engaged with helping and cooperating with the churches in Sudan on pursuing peace. The second picture is a very powerful experience I had just weeks before the referendum. This is from the Catholic Cathedral in Juba, where the people were praying for a peaceful referendum, praying earnestly for peace. That's the first of Advent service. And then, 9th of June 2011, the people of South Sudan were finally allowed to give their own vote, to say themselves, would like to stay together with the North Sudan or form a new country. And here we have the Episcopal Bishop Daniel Day and also the Catholic Bishop Paulina Duduku, who have just cast their vote, and they said, we have made our choice. And we know that 99% of the people, those who voted in the referendum, chose for independence. And then, 6 months later, it was Independence Day, and there were celebrations, there were festivities, and people were really happy and were wishing that God would bless South Sudan. And these are 2 other pictures from that day, on 9th of July 2011, where also the president of Sudan, North Khartoum, Omar al-Bashir, to the right up there, together with his counterpart, President Salva Kiir shared and said that we will work together and we will respect these two nations and that they should work together. And the people were happy. Then we know that a lot of things have happened, but that's something I would like to leave to the panelists. What does this new beginning, what does it mean? What is it all about? And first we will have Marina to give us an overall picture of what are the present challenges, what are the hopes, what are the fears, what is this, what's new in the beginning. And then Bishop Stephen will give us the South Sudan perspective on the diocese. And what is it for the people of Louis? What changes have they seen? And what hopes and fears do they have? And then some personal reflections from Bishop Antje from her visit in 2008, and also what does this mean for our relations as churches, Church of Sweden with the Christians in South Sudan. So, Marina, welcome. Let's give all our presenters a big hand.
Okay, again, thank you very much, Niklas, and thank you very much for inviting me here. You heard already I'm representing the Sudan Ecumenical Forum, which was founded in 1994 under the umbrella of the World Council of Churches, but with the Sudanese Church at the center. And the Church of Sweden has been a very, very important part of the Sudan Ecumenical Forum from the very beginning. And the forum basically deals with issues of peace and advocacy for human rights and conflict resolution. So thank you very much. The title of this morning is A New Beginning, and I would say yes, a new beginning, but with a big and challenging legacy from the past. And in a way it was very symbolic when Niklas showed the photo of the two presidents at the independence celebration. And I had the privilege to be there at this independence celebration. And it was not only laughing people, I never saw so many people smiling, but we all in a way had a smile and even tears in our eyes. And everybody was kind of crying out of joy when the flag of Sudan in the end was lowered and the flag of South Sudan was raised. So that was one of the most, I would say, the most moving moment in my life, and I think the same is true for many people. But we saw the two presidents waving in different directions. And this, in a way, is very symbolic. Because both of them say, yes, let us look into a peaceful future. Let us look forward to people's neighbors. We still have our relations. But at the same time, in March this year, we were as close to a new war between the two new countries, Sudan and South Sudan, as we never were before. And until today, the danger that in fact even there could be an open armed conflict between the two countries cannot be ruled out. This is very unfortunate, but it has to do, as I said, with the legacy from the past. What situation do we have in South Sudan, but also in Sudan for that matter? We had a long, long war going on, not only for 25 years, but basically for 50 years since the independence of Sudan, or the eve of independence of Sudan, 1995. During the second war in Sudan, we had a complete breakdown of infrastructure, of the little infrastructure, which we anyway only had in South Sudan. We have people traumatized, and this I think is a big burden. I don't know, maybe Bishop will talk about it later on also. People traumatized by this war because either they had to run away from the country, they lost their relatives, they were bombed, but it's not only the civilians traumatized, it's basically the whole leadership of South Sudan is traumatized because they had to rebels in the bushes. And you will hardly find any armed movement turning into a government and turning into Democrats overnight. I don't think that we have any examples worldwide from the past where this ever had happened. There's a struggle to do something good, but it's a long way. You have of the many arms, old arms. It's a big problem in the whole of the Horn of Africa, as you know, but even new arms are still coming in. And the biggest problem is we have a legacy of things which were not done before the referendum and before the independence of South Sudan. There has been a peace agreement. A peace agreement was signed in 2005, providing the basis for the new country to be. And in this peace agreement, you had many things which should have been solved. For instance, what will happen with the resources, which in their bigger parts are in South Sudan. I think especially here in Sweden also the oil issue is very much known because Lundin has been involved and there are still ongoing cases with Lundin. Church of Sweden, I think, has been working on that very much. So there has been no arrangement before the referendum, before the independence, on what will happen now with the oil. The oil in its bigger part is in the soil of South Sudan, but the pipelines refineries are in the north. So of course there should have been an agreement on how to use it, what to pay as fees or whatsoever, but there has been no agreement until June. And what happened was that in December last year the government of Sudan decided they just have to steal some oil and sell it on their own. Government of South Sudan did not get the revenues. And so then in January last year, the government of South Sudan decided to close all the oil wells, which had terrible implications, of course, for the economy, not only for the north, which is completely dependent on this oil revenue, but also for South Sudan itself. The other legacy is, according to the peace agreement, there should have been a referendum at the same time, 9th of January last year, as for South Sudan, also for a region called Abyei, oil-rich, and where people also should have the right to decide: do we want to belong? Do we want to be a part of the South, or do we want to be part of the North? This agreement this referendum never took place. There has been fighting in Abyei. The issue is not solved until today. According to the agreement, there should have been what was called popular consultation for the bordering areas, southern Kordofan and Blue Nile. These popular consultations in the case of South Kordofan never took place. In Blue Nile, they were not to the satisfaction of the people. We had a war which started in South Kordofan just on the eve of the independence of South Sudan, and in Brunei in August last year. Both of these, many of the people in these two areas had been fighting alongside with the South during the war. And they felt, okay, now we are happy for our brothers and sisters in the South, that they have their independence. What about us? Who hears our plea? Where do we have our rights? We have an ongoing war in Darfur. And we should not forget, it's forgotten, it was very much in the headlines for a long time, but it's ongoing. And with all this, we have a complete unsolved problem around citizenship. We had so many Southern Sudanese living in the north, displaced by the war. And there was this idea that they should have dual citizenship so that they can remain, those who want to remain in the north. But the north did not want that, Sudan did not want that. So all these people have to come home now. And there's a big problem around that. I'm sure that Bishop will also tell us how it affects his own diocese. These people are in part still in the north, but they all have to go. They come back to South Sudan, to areas where other people have taken over their homes. They come on their way without proper way stations, and they are in very miserable conditions when they come. Very often they come without anything, they are looted on the way. In addition, as I said, we have the new wars in Kordofan and Brunei, so a lot of refugees are coming into South Sudan. So at a time where there would be time where everybody was hoping there's a new time, there will be development now, there will be a new paradigm in South Sudan, we have the situation that instead of being able to focus on development, again, most of the money which comes from outside has to go into humanitarian operations, into emergency, into relief,